So, as we look back on that time period and I talk to people about the incident command, one of the things that always comes up is how well we worked together as a team. We had one singular focus and people were willing and able to do whatever was asked of them in order to accomplish that goal. And that was kind of a unifying sentiment that comes across a lot.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just to see everybody in their roles and responsibility to really come together as one team, I just can reflect that it was so, I just had this moment of feeling extremely proud watching surgical nurses come into our COVID unit, support PPE observation, help and manage and care for patients within the organization. Just there were no boundaries. Everybody came together and for the purpose of taking care of one another as employees, as well as taking care of our patients and our community. It was just, it was like magic.
It was like magic, yeah. There was a lot of stress. I mean, it was like people were doing things that they were uncomfortable, and we didn't know what was going to happen. The next day we're going to be overwhelmed. We had that constant sensation of we're about to be overwhelmed. How are we going to do this? And so it was magic, but stress. There was stress in there as well, and I think both of those that kind of served to strengthen the bonds of what we needed to do, what we knew we needed to come together to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, using the word magic seems to be, in such a time of devastation across the world. However, you kind of vacillated between emotion of, wow, we're pulling this together, to, gee, I'm feeling scared, but running that gamut of emotion. It's just a great opportunity to see NMC employees come together and do some phenomenal work. And in this segment, you will see several examples of the great work in relationship to managing the pandemic as a team.
One of the nice things about the pandemic was that we had a lot of teamwork and a lot of people working together who were maybe much more siloed than maybe we would have had if we hadn't had a pandemic. I know for myself, being able to work with everybody within the organization in such a quick time was very rewarding. Because normally for infection control, you do work with everybody, but it takes a long time to have all of those incidents and have those times to work with all those people. And when you have a pandemic, there's no time but the present. So I got to work with a lot of people very quickly, and I got to see a lot of really great teamwork. So an example of the great teamwork we had was we had nurses that were redeployed to be our PPE observers, which were really a key portion of why we were so successful and didn't have any staff transmitted infections from patients or among themselves, was because we had these PPE observers. And these were staff that from surgical services who maybe had never worked on the patient care area, who were stepping up and being those people, those resources for our frontline nurses. And it really was great to see that teamwork and see those silos break down and be able to see, oh, this is what it looks like on this side of things. And hopefully we'll be able to continue on that kind of momentum so that we have better care for our patients going forward, because now we understand each other's workflows better.
Seeing people from all areas of the organization, inpatient, outpatient, EVS, materials, senior leadership, providers, all come together and put on some blue scrubs that we had never worn before. It just melded and mashed it into this perfect operating piece of equipment, and it was honestly fascinating. I had never worked with most of the people I was working with day in and day out, and it was wonderful and amazing, honestly.
People were outside their comfort zone. People were definitely working in areas that wasn't where their expertise was. They had to learn up and do the job. A good example of that was when we started the whole curbside testing. I mean, all the people that were involved in that in the first pass, that's not their bailiwick. I mean, they just had to we need to make this happen. We need to make it happen fast.
It's a very dynamic environment. We have many patients coming for very short periods of time, but it created a a lot of need to understand what our current census was and how patients were moving in and out of the facility into different locations that we had established as different zones, whether they may be COVID positive or not. We were doing a lot of whiteboard type work, so running around collecting things on paper and putting them on a whiteboard in terms of how many rooms were available in certain wings. So we enabled so we brought the IT team together and started putting together some dashboards similar to what you see behind me to help have a real-time tool that would make sure that all the incident command folks knew exactly what our current census was and what we had for bed availability. And we actually were getting into some analytics as well as what we could predict and what was coming based on what the state was telling us. Chris Sheldon, who's one of our report writers, was just outstanding. We gave him the requirements, told him what we needed to see, and within hours we had some very robust dashboards, and it was very impressive to see that come together.
My team, I have to say, was amazing. 90% of us were redeployed elsewhere and doing things. So I was super proud to see them all kind of rally and do whatever was needed, and definitely aligned to our mission to provide exceptional care, whether it was bathrooms or helping patients on the floor. So it was super awesome.
Teamwork was amazing. When this whole thing started at NMC, every department rallied in their own way. In the emergency department, true to our fashion, it's a challenge, it's something new, we're going to take it on. And every single person in the department became very engaged with what we had to do, which was pretty amazing because we got totally out of our comfort zone, out of our department, into a whole new area of the hospital, which we now cover for patients that are being seen to rule out possible COVID, or if they have positive COVID, which fortunately we're not seeing that in our community right now. So new workflows, new rooms, new equipment, a whole new lifestyle, PPE, how to protect everybody, taking care of patients. It was pretty amazing to watch everybody step up to that.